Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where it is you are joining us from. Welcome to the 51st episode of our EQ Lunch and Learn series. We're delighted to have you here today and looking forward to kicking off the new year with you as we unpack yet another element of emotional intelligence. January sets the emotional tone for the year. In this month's EQ Lunch and Learn, we're inviting you to pause, reflect, and intentionally define what well being, balance, and emotional health should look like for you in the year ahead. Rather than resolutions or performance goals, our conversation today focuses on inner alignment, how you want to feel, what you want more or less of emotionally, and what support systems you need to maintain and sustain your mental health at work and beyond in the year ahead. Through our panel conversation, we will explore how visioning supports emotional resilience, the link between clarity, boundaries, and mental well being, and how intentional choices made early in the year reduce burnout later on. Today, I hope that we will create a grounded, hopeful entry point to your 2026 mental health journey, encouraging you to move from surviving and setting yourself up to consciously shaping the year ahead. So, let me begin by introducing my amazing panelists for today. As always, I tell you, if you bring your lunch, we will bring the learning, and I'm delighted to do so for today. So let me bring up first Emmanuel Nandoka. Today, we are delighted to have a panel made up of our PTS faculty who are going to be helping me to unpack this idea of developing your mental health vision board. Emmanuel is a leadership and organizational development training consultant with us at PTS Africa. He is an experienced design thinking consultant, trainer, and facilitator specializing in leadership, management, and organizational development. He's passionate about human development and conducts engaging and experiential training programs to support participants' personal and professional goals. He holds a bachelor's degree in education and accreditations in neuro linguistic programming, 7 habits of highly effective people, and design thinking certifications. His quote as he joins us today is: mental health is a result of consistent conscious choices to choose wellness. Good morning, good afternoon. I know it's afternoon in Nairobi where you are. It's morning here for me in South Africa. Welcome, Emmanuel. It's really great to have you here today.
Thank you. Looking forward.
Awesome. If you want to connect with Emmanuel, you can find him on LinkedIn. You can connect with him there. We've shared the links to his LinkedIn profile. In addition to Emmanuel, we have James Bosire. Let me bring James on with us today. Happy to have you here, James. James is a finance and accounting consultant at PTS Africa. He has over a decade of experience spanning audits, manufacturing, payment service providers, NGOs, and educational institutions. He has a strong track record in managing donor fund projects, multi currency transactions, financial risk management, and strategic financial reporting. He has a Master of Commerce in Finance and Investment from KCA University and is a CPA finalist committed to professional integrity and governance. His quote for today is: well being is nurtured when we give ourselves permission to rest, reflect, and recharge intentionally. Greetings, James. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Good morning, Mucha. Good afternoon, and good morning to everyone who's watching and ready to listen to us. Looking forward to an exciting interaction with the panelists. Thank you.
Fantastic. Um, if you want to connect with James, you can also find him on LinkedIn. Our final panelist was having some slight challenges with her tech. So we will add her as she returns. It looks like she's dropped off, but allow me to introduce her in her absence. Mercy Kalunge is the founder and lead consultant at Direct Links and currently serves as a training consultant and coach at PTS Africa. She has over 10 years of experience in designing and implementing innovative programs. Her expertise lies in exploring team dynamics, psychology, and shared vision to unlock the full potential of individuals and teams. Her quote: "You don't need to compete or compare yourself to anyone else because everyone is a work in progress." If you want to connect with Mercy, as we hear from her today, you can also find her on LinkedIn, and we have shared the link to her LinkedIn profile. So, gentlemen, we will get started with you. Mercy will join us as she returns. As I said, she's having some slight technical challenges. When we kick off the program, we always start with our grounding question that I ask to all of you. So, Emmanuel, since I brought you on first, I'll start with you. When you hear the phrase mental health vision for the year or mental health vision boards, what does that mean to you personally? Not as a concept, but as a lived intention.
Thank you. So I think for me, when I think of a mental health vision, I think about the plan that I have, the destination I want to achieve in 2026. Over the last 3 years as a family, we, at the end of every year, at the start of a new year, we kind of plan and envision what we'd like the year to look like. And so part of it is just saying, how do I want to experience life, especially in terms of my emotional well-being in 2026. And so it's something that I record down, and at the end of 2026, I can look back to and see whether or not I've been able to experience it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Emmanuel. I think I love the intentionality that you speak of, right? Where it's not something that happens by accident, but it's something that we work on intentionally. James, same question to you, please.
Okay, so I'll go. For me, mental health vision is how I want to feel consistently, both professionally and as a family man. Uh, Not necessarily what I want to achieve on paper, but how my mental status will be. Because I believe if mentally I'm not okay, then that means that even the visions that I will put on paper then won't add up. So it's how I feel about myself. It's how I want to feel at the end of my work days. It's how I want to feel at the end of the day, like as a family person. Uh, did my spouse is my spouse okay? Are my kids well? So it's mental because that's the bottom line start point of everything. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Mercy, we're glad to have you here. I know you are having some challenges with your sound. I hope that you can hear me with your tech. I hope you can hear me. We already introduced you and we were tackling the first question and just thinking about you know, how or what the concept of a mental health vision or a mental health vision board is. So, Mercy, if you can hear me, I'd love to hear your response to that. When you think of this term, this idea of a mental health vision or a mental health vision board, what does that mean to you? Not just as a concept, but as a lived intention.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Mucha, for introducing me. And I'm sorry for that small age. Yes, as you heard, yes, my name is Mercy, and it's a pleasure to be here and happy to be here as a psychologist. Now, like you just said, visions, we normally set visions mostly in January. And so it's like everyone is in this January kind of a surge, bursting with a lot of energy, motivation, inspiration, and just deciding, okay, last year this and this didn't work, so this year things have got to be different. And so we come with so much energy to just set up, what we want to achieve in this coming year. And so by January we really have a lot of energy to do it. But a lot of times we see probably by mid-February things have just gone off and it's on a
Mm,
different level. And so as we are here looking at how best we can work on our even mental shifts to just ensure that our visions have got life, these energy and these, the oomph of life around the vision that we set. And so for me, mental wellness or rather mental health around the vision is more of something that I would want to say how about if we set it as, like a compass, something that gives direction, something that tells you this is the north, this is the south, this is the northeast. So if you look at it like that, it's like when you're going somewhere and you're looking for direction. So if you've got the compass, it helps you see the direction. And that compass also is able to help you see when you're going off the direction that you're supposed to go. So if we can look at the vision goals that we create around this time of January, is something that is going to be able to help us find the direction of what we want to achieve. Or even just imagine something like maybe someone who is rolling a boat in water, and sometimes there's the high, sometimes the low. So trying to find it from a mental perspective is being able to know there are times you'll find the highs, there are times you'll find the lows. And so being able to know that vision at times will have high moments and low moments. So you should be able to work around it and ground yourself to be able to work on what you want to achieve. I think that's what I would want to say in this. It's just the internal weather and the internal compass.
I love that. I love the idea of using it as a compass. And indeed, I think many of us do start the year with that excitement for the year ahead and the excitement for the goals we set. But along the way, we lose steam. And I think a lot of that is because in setting our goals, we do not really look at the stamina that is required to maintain those goals and how we can maintain that stamina. Mercy, let me stay with you. I love the viewpoint you bring as a psychologist. We set intentions, as we've said, that are really aspirational, but sometimes not sustainable. What do you see people getting wrong about setting goals with that kind of mental health viewpoint? And how can we have a healthier starting point so that we get it right and we incorporate our well-being, our mental health as we set our goals at the beginning of the year?
That's a very good question because, yes, it's always asking where did the water start or where did the rain start beating us as far as this vision board is concerned. So we were so energetic, we did the right thing, but somewhere mid February, gone. And so what I can say at times is we stress ourselves so much about being able to perform, being able to really get it done to the point. Like this is what I set to do. If you don't do it this way, then you feel like you're a failure, you feel like you didn't achieve, and it starts weighing down on us. And many a times, in fact, what
Mm,
I can say, and probably even for those who are listening to us, and even for us in this panel, I'm so sure there are many goals that we've set aside and we left them all completely together because somehow along the way, the energy that we thought we had, we could have done it, somehow it didn't work. And so in the process, you even leave it all together completely. So I think what I could say is that um, not perfection, but the desire to perform it as you put it. Like, I want to achieve this. Let me give an example.
mm,
Like myself, I'm not an early riser. So mornings are not my best for me. But you see, I also have these friends and these people who are like, we've got to be waking up at 5 a.m. And then, there's that book we've read about the 5 a.m. club, my friend. So we try to get to be like everyone else. We said, I'm going to go to the gym and then blah, blah. As in the day is set like this. You can see it going like this from 5 a.m. Oh, and to people like me, we try to get out of bed at 5 a.m. It's still dark. You're like, this is such an ungodly hour. So you're not able to get out of it. And so because this is not what your brain is really kind of like accustomed to. And so what happens if you can't wake up at 5 a.m. every other day? Probably the first week you're able to do it and you feel so energized, but by next week the energy is gone. The brain has refused to adjust because that's not the real you. Or like me, what I've because I'm also not a perfect person. What I found is sometimes I end up wasting my whole day. I woke up at 5, went to the gym with the others. It was so energetic, but then once we got everyone has gone to their way, I don't have any more energy to do anything. So I waste a whole day. So I ask myself, does it really make sense that I wake up at 5 and then I'll waste the whole day, or should I do it the other way around? So that performance, that desire to perform as per to the dot of what was planned can really take us off. And even when it comes to other goals, even in the workplace, that you want to achieve this, but it doesn't. So you asked me, so how do we then set ourselves to not get stressed in the wrongs that we find? I think I like one thing in psychology we call like recovery beats, small things that you can do to help you recover, to help you go back to the line again. Remember, we said a vision is a compass, to help you get back on track. And so some of those things are really not big things. It's small things like just going out to look out of the window for just 5 seconds, see the cars moving outside there, or see people, just walking on the streets, or look at some greenery out of the window. That can just be a small recovery bit. Or even just taking 5 seconds to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And you just find there's a way you can reset yourself back internally back to your campus. So that's maybe what I can say. There are many other reasons that doesn't go well, but you asked me for one, so I give one.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think you are so right that we set ourselves these goals. And a lot of times, because of that perfectionism tendency, we actually set ourselves up for failure rather than really spending the time to understand ourselves, to understand our own rhythms, right? So that we can set ourselves goals that work with ourselves, that work with our lifestyles, that work with our season. Indeed, there is this 5 a.m. club, and there is much that can be achieved when you start your day early. But you have to understand that there is a time and a season for everything, and it may not be the season for you, or it may not be, something that works with your internal rhythms. So I really love that, and for me, that speaks to this idea that self-awareness is critical. When we have greater self-awareness and we understand ourselves, we can set goals that align with selves rather than goals that are all about keeping up with what the world says or what other people say. So thank you very much for that. James, in high pressure deadline driven professions like finance, mental health often gets deprioritized until something breaks. So how do you think about protecting your mental well-being while still meeting those performance expectations, especially at the start of a demanding year? We've talked this year, I'm sure, for those who are in those roles, especially where there are targets. We've had meetings in our organization about the targets, and people have developed their work plans. All right, how do you make sure you still maintain that well-being whilst rising to meet the pressure? James, I think you are muted. Let's unmute you. Yeah, please continue.
Thank you, Mucha, for. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Clear. Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you for that question. I'm actually smiling because, especially during this moment of tax matters, January to June, it's really high pressure sort of working environment with meeting deadline, and the fact that you do work with machines and managing machines, and also ensuring that all the figures add up to different clients' expectations. So, how do I personally put my mental state and well-being in check? So one of the things that I normally do is accepting the reality of pressure without letting it own me. What do I mean by this? I mean, deadlines will always be there. I mean, during peak seasons, I mean, reports have always have to be done. So, I mean, from what go mentally, I know that yes, I do have these reports, I do have these deadlines to meet. So, by me accepting the reality that there is pressure in it, gives me like a sense of belonging, that I need to compose myself, I need to plan my days ahead, I need to do all that I need to do on time, such that by the time the deadline is up, then I don't have so much pressure. So letting the pressure not own me is actually one way I normally do it. The other way I normally do it is emotional self-awareness in decision making. Yes, I mean, I'm supposed to make decisions. I mean, on the audit reports. I mean, tax matters. So knowing that a decision, either positive or negative, has to be made, I mean, gives me or creates a sense of awareness that I know I need to have a relaxed set of mind to be able to make a pronounced judgment or make a decision that will not much affect any of the reports or any of my workings that I do. So I normally try to avoid emotional overload, which probably might lead to reactive decisions. So I'll go back to my first point, like accepting that there is pressure and managing how to control it. So basically, for me, those two tick the boxes on how I manage my
Mm,
mental state
mm,
during this
mm.
season.
I like
Thank you.
that. I really like that. And it's you would imagine for those of you who are listening that I prepped my panelists to talk about self-awareness so much, but I did not. For those of you who've watched these lunch and learns, you will know that I have said repeatedly that an understanding of yourself is the first and most important step towards achieving your goals. Because when you have that heightened awareness, it enables you to make decisions. And I really like what James said, this idea of, yes, there is pressure. So how do you navigate it? When we are aware of ourselves and our environment, we can adjust accordingly. Often, the reason why our emotions derail us is because they catch us by surprise, because we were not prepared for them. Emmanuel, design thinking is rooted in empathy, curiosity, and experimentation. How can we apply those same principles of design thinking to help ourselves design a mental health vision that evolves rather than being rigid or overwhelming?
Thank you. So, Mercy said that the mental health plan is like a map. It's like a true north. So you one need to be very very clear about that. And then James has talked about self-awareness, and I think that's where empathy then comes in, because empathy is really just putting yourself in the shoes of the other person. In this particular case, yourself. And why do we say you really need to be empathetic? You need to understand what are the triggers that trigger negative emotions. What are the things that make you happy? What are the things that stress you? Who are the people
Mm,
who give you who bring drama to your life? And understand that your body, your mind, and your spirit are the greatest tools you have to achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. And so empathy is just knowing what are my triggers, what are my stressors, who are the people who bring me joy. James talked about his children. Because once you understand that, then the curiosity element or the experimentation is then saying, okay, uh, I usually maybe pray or worship or exercise or do this, and this brings this emotion. And so, are you able to then? You can do the same things that you've been doing, but also you can try different things. Some of us are stuck in the same routines, Monday
mm,
to Monday, and if you've been doing this for the last 5, 10 years, and your stress levels are going up, you're you're becoming more sometimes angry or harsh to your children, to your co-workers, then you might want to say, how about if I change my routine a bit more? How about if instead of taking the lift, I walked up the stairs? One of my colleagues, we used to do the 10, we used to work on the 10th floor. And so she did that once, I did that once, and I discovered, oh, walking up the stairs really gets your lungs and your muscles burning. And just from that one experiment, it became the routine. And
mm,
I believe it really added value to my mental health well-being. So be willing to
mm,
break out of the routine, because if my current routine is not building my mental health, then I need to experiment. I need to try out different things. If I spend a lot of time on my phone, something that brings me a lot of stress or does not allow me to decompress, then maybe you need to just try. How about I have some phone-free days or times?
mm,
Yeah,
mm.
thank you.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what I'm hearing you say is that my mental health vision or my mental health vision board needs to include um, activities or things that I do that help to disrupt my usual day to day and that are designed to support my mental well-being. And we know research shows that movement, physical activity is something that contributes very positively to our mental health. If I can just keep you a little longer, Emmanuel, besides physical activity, what are some of the other ways or some of the other things that you would say? And I'll throw this out to you, Mercy, and James as well to add. What are some of the other things that we can do that will then bring that ability to experiment and find new ways to boost our mental health? So, Emmanuel, maybe is there anything else that you would add beyond that kind of physical activity that could help?
Yeah, a lot of things um, can bring positive emotions. So exercise is
Mm,
one.
mm,
Maybe rest and relaxation is another thing. Maybe hanging out with certain people who are
mm,
positive, who build you, who affirm you. There are things that if you were to consistently uh, experience, you'll actually feel a difference. Uh,
yeah.
Mercy was talking about the 5 a.m. And so interestingly, we've tried 5 a.m., we've tried 6 a.m., we're now at 7 a.m., me and my family. We've done a bit of experimentation. And guess what?
Yeah.
We're now stuck at 7 a.m. because we realized
Mm,
7 a.m. works for all of us. But what we've also found for
mm,
I myself is that I have now changed my sleeping time again as part of the process. And now I'm working at the 9 p.m. because the idea is what is it that gives you sufficient sleep, sufficient rest?
mm,
Uh,
mm,
my phone I have now activated do not disturb at a certain time of the night, and that gives me a bit of peace. So please do not stick to what has been happening if it is not building your mental
mm.
well-being.
And I really like that. So, what you're saying, and Mercy, I'm going to come to you to see if you want to add any more ideas around the things we can do. But what I'm hearing from you, Emmanuel, is something that's critical is noticing what's not working, right? So, being willing to experiment. And so, to Mercy's earlier point, if 5 a.m. doesn't work for you, find what does. What morning routine works for you? What rhythm works for you? And then maybe work backwards. Maybe for you, it's a night routine that you need to do. I know some people swear by doing some nighttime yoga and how it helps them to really relax as they go to sleep. And so the idea is what works for you. Mercy, anything you would add in terms of ideas of things that we can do to boost our mental health, to disrupt our day to day, so that we keep the energy going throughout the course of the year?
Actually, that's normally a very interesting a question which comes now and then in terms of how do you re-energize yourself. And
Mm,
I like what you said. It's about self-awareness. First, know yourself so well. Because the biggest challenge we have is trying to copy every other person. Like, let me give an example. Like, I remember one time when I was going through those seasons of life you need to write a book about. The thing
yes.
the thing that saved me, like Emmanuel was saying, is that I used to sleep a lot. I used to sleep during the day, I used to sleep
Mm,
at night. Now, you see,
mm,
for me, as who I am, sleep would come easily to me. And actually, when I wake up afterwards, I would be in a much, much better space. There are people who can't find sleep. So if you find me sleeping, please don't try and do copy and paste. Just find out for you what works. So there are many other methods that work, but the main thing is first find out who you are and what
yeah.
really energizes you. Find out your
Mm,
personality, what color are you, so that you can know what really sparks your energy to go back to what it's supposed to be. So there are many other things that you can do. One of the things that I almost cuts across every other person is breathing in and breathing out. And when we say
mm,
breathing, it's those deep breaths. You just take a very deep
mm.
breath. There's something about breathing in oxygen when it starts going in into the system. There's a way it works. I think it's where the is it carbon dioxide that is inside? It's not a very good thing. So you need to bring in more. You need to bring in more oxygen so that it can flow in. And then when you breathe in, you hold it. You see, and I always like saying any of us who has a child or any of us who has been near a child who is crying or upset, what do we normally tell them? Try and breathe in. You try to breathe in so that they
Mm,
stop saying, that's kind of the way someone reacts when they are crying and they're in tears. You see, that calms someone down so that you're able to come back to a normal level of energy. So if you can learn to really try and breathe in, breathe out, it really helps a lot. There is also those people who like writing. Mostly those people who are very, people who are very analytical in the way they do things. Writing and journaling what they are going through is also very important. If you're able to do it, like me, I'm not that type, so I don't journal a lot. But there are people who can journal. You just write what comes to mind. Just write it down. There's something else about also when you're writing, the bad energy goes through that pen. It gets out of the system. So again, just write it. You don't have to ever go back to read it, but just write what you're feeling and be very honest and sincere. You're not writing a composition for anyone to mark. It's your own.
Oh, looks like we've lost Mercy, but she is back. There you go, Mercy, you are back.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So that being able to journal, and then the other people can maybe also take a walk, especially a walk through nature, maybe where there's grass. I've found myself at times going to just a golf course, not going to play obviously, but just going to look at it and stare at it like this, just to feel good. See the green and let that green get into you. And I like giving my examples so that I don't. It's about me. If you can make
Yes,
it
I
go
love it.
overnight, go overnight to Mombasa, go and sit by the ocean, just feel it.
Ocean.
Yes,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
hear the noise in the ocean, see it, and start imagining this creation. Why are you so stressed when this world is so big? You're just a small dot in it. Why can't you just
Mm,
relax yourself? Some dots start getting into your system when you actually allow yourself to be in nature. So there are
I
many
love
things
it.
that you can do, but the
I
main
love
thing
it.
I love to say is get to know who you are and find out what really
Mm,
works for you. Like Emmanuel has also given
mm,
quite a number of ways. Find out what works
mm.
for you. If talking to girlfriends and men on the corner, some corner somewhere works for you, then so be it. Go watch football with them. That's really what should work for you. Yeah, such kind of things.
Yeah.
There are many, but just
Yeah.
know that
I
it
love
helps
it.
us. Yeah.
I love it. I really love it. And I think the message here is clear to all of you who are watching online and to those who will listen to this later. Know yourself. As you know yourself, as you experiment, you begin to learn what releases stress for you. Earlier Emmanuel talked about the fact that maybe for you, you might need to be around people, have conversations. For someone else, that actually causes stress. Maybe what you need is to find space and time for yourself, go on a solocation. The key is know yourself, right? I know I'm the kind of person who is energized by other people, but there are very many of us who find ourselves depleted by other people. And so we need to regularly give ourselves alone time to re energize. James, I don't want to leave you out of the conversation. I know much has been said by
Yeah.
Emmanuel and Mercy, but anything you would add in terms of maybe some of the ways that you find you can energize yourself?
Uh, Mercy and Emmanuel have most of the things that probably innocent. I feel like they left something important, which I would qualify it as taking rest seriously, which most of us don't take our rest seriously. Like in a work scenario, when you're out there, like on leave, or you're just taking you off, or maybe something happened to you and you're nursing your kid at home. I mean, as men, you're on your paternity leave. What you normally then don't take seriously is what we call rest. And I'll try phrase it this way, like taking rest seriously and not feeling guilty. You see the way you have
Mm,
your email on your phone. You see the way you have your email on your
mm,
phone and it's ding. You know that's a
mm.
work related email. Ding, that's work related email. And you find yourself again disturbed in that you want to go sit on your PC or you want to reply to
Yes,
the email on
yeah.
your phone. Yet you've forgotten that you're at home taking rest. You're taking time off
Mm,
to rejuvenate and re-energize and just have that new energy that when you go back to work you now can fully give the work you all. So we normally forget about
mm,
taking rest seriously and not feeling guilt. Like the MD is calling,
mm.
the HR is calling. I mean, my colleague is checking on me. You get because
Yeah.
rarely in a job scenario it happens. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. That we create genuine friends that when you see Mucha is calling, you're like, this is not job related. This is maybe a hangout, or we need to go somewhere, we need to do a hike. So we pretty much need to take rest seriously and not feel guilty. The other thing that I feel like will pretty much improve on our mental well-being is we need to practice on checking on ourselves or even our colleagues. Rarely will you find somebody will just come and ask you, maybe it's in the morning you're checking into the office, somebody will ask you, hey, how are you? Like work related or family. Rarely will one get past that line wanting to know you as a person, me as James. I mean, how am I doing besides my family, besides my work? So we pretty much need to practice on a daily or even weekly or even monthly checking up on ourselves or even on our friends. Like we need to ask ourselves pertinent questions. What drained me such that I was not able to achieve whatever targets I set for myself today, I mean this week or even the month. And then on a positive note, we also need to, while least on the checking on ourselves and also our colleagues, is what restores me that when I do this, I'm energetic, I'm able to focus more on work, I'm able to give more like value to my work scenario. So what restores me, what drains me? I mean, I think when we have start checking on ourselves and even on our colleagues, it rejuvenates ourselves and maybe our colleagues such that you become something new. You feel renewed when you get to know what drained you and maybe change tactics on how to work on it. Then you feel empowered, you feel you're different and energetic. So I felt like those were two pertinent things that we forgot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I like the conversation you've highlighted around checking on each other. So checking on yourself, but also checking on each other. I think that means as I'm building my mental health vision board, as I'm thinking about my intentionally about my mental health throughout the course of the year, as I'm chasing after these big, hairy, audacious goals, I need to build a network around me of people who will check in with me, who will make sure that I am still doing okay, that I'm still feeding and nourishing my soul, that I haven't gotten caught up in driving after my goal, that I've forgotten myself. Especially if you're the kind of person who is quite driven and who is more likely to, get carried away in driving towards your goal, that you forget to check in with yourself. I think that's a really critical component that James has brought in, this idea of checking in on ourselves. If you're with us today, you're welcome. Sam, we see you listening in from Nairobi. Thank you very much. Tabil N5288, it's good to have you here as well. You are logged in on YouTube. Say hi if you are here so that we can give you a shout out back. Tell us where you are joining us from, and feel free to ask whatever questions you may have for my panel around this idea about setting your mental health vision at the start of the year as you set the goals that you have for yourself for the year ahead. James, you mentioned something that really I want to link from and talk a little bit about. Many professionals measure success in numbers and outcomes, right? So when I'm setting my goals, maybe I'm setting goals around targets in terms of numbers or client meetings, client engagements. So we are very number oriented when we set our goals. So what indicators or signals do you personally use to know if your mental health is drifting off track during the year? So yes, we've talked about energizing yourself throughout the course of the year, but how do you really know if you are going off track? What are some of the things that you can utilize? As you respond, James, I'm noticing that your network seems to be fluctuating a little bit. As you talk, sometimes we are losing you. So just as you share, maybe just speak a little slower so that we catch everything. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mucha. So, as an experienced accountant, tax practitioner in Kenya, I will know that my mental health is off track when I make fatigue decisions. What do I mean by fatigue decisions? Is like I feel like I'm overwhelmed by routine compliance decisions or financial analysis because again, you realize that most of the things that we do as finance accountants and tax practitioners is repetitive. So when I find myself in a decision fatigue mode, then it hits me that, yeah, I mean, there's something that I'm not doing well. Again, when I find myself in a situation whereby I have work-life imbalance, like I'm giving work too much time than family time, or I'm giving family too much time than work time, then that also picks up as a mental sort of red flag that I need to work on. Again, also when it happens that I'm missing my deadlines, say I've told client A that I'll give you your report say on Monday at this time, and then it's Monday 4 p.m. I've not yet given out that report. I'm like buying time. Then it actually picks out as something. It turns out that something is pretty much not well aligned with me. I mean, when I procrastinate on doing something, like I've said that I'll be filing return A say by tonight, and then same thing happens that I'm not able to deliver on time. It's actually a trigger that something is not well. So when such instances happen, what do I do? Like I get to pause, reset, and try to ensure that I revisit all the triggers such that I'm able to maintain my high standards as expected by my clients. That's how, as a person, I feel like if probably whoever is listening online and the panelists can maybe think through it, it actually cuts across not just as finance or accounting practitioner, but all across all our professions. Thank you.
I really like that reflection because what I'm hearing you say, James, is that the very goals we set and our ability to achieve them can become an indicator as to where we may start flagging. So, as I'm doing my check in monthly, perhaps, as I'm checking in on my progress towards my goals, I'm able to really have that self reflective moment to determine how my energy levels are as I am working towards my goals. So, if I can see that I've not been able to achieve my goals, or perhaps it's been harder for me to achieve my goals, which requires me to be self aware and pay attention to the emotions, then that forms a trigger, or that becomes the trigger for me to investigate further, investigate deeper to see why. You know, one of the things I love to say is that your emotions are a warning light. It's like your check engine light in your car. Often we ignore that light when it comes on. We ignore the fact that I've become a little impatient. You know, we disregard it or we push it aside. We disregard the fact that I'm feeling a little more fatigued, or I find moments in the day when I'm feeling a little more overwhelmed. But that's information. And what you're saying, James, is pay attention to that information, because that information then is an indicator that perhaps you need to go back to your mental health vision board and pay a bit more attention. Mercy, I see you nodding your head as I'm sharing here. You want to add something on that point before I come to the next question?
No. I think you've really said it very well. It's always good to know what are those things that you need to be able to recognize, be able to find the things that you can touch. The most unfortunate thing I can say from the side where I sit is that many times you don't even recognize it. So it takes like what you call, again, going back to self-awareness, to just be able to capture yourself and be able to be so honest with yourself, to be able to capture what are those moments that your energy has gone down, you're losing it. In fact, from where I sit, we call it, the loss of flavor, the loss of vibe and energy outside. So you find there is no vibe. You're a person who likes, maybe there are things that you like, all of a sudden you don't like them. And many a times those things, they grow so slowly without knowing that. At times it's like, there's a way, if you were to burn a frog and you put it in cold water and you start
Yes, I was
eating,
thinking of that example.
yes.
Yes.
So you don't even get it's normally said that the frog will get back into nothingness because it didn't know that it was even getting back, because it started accustoming itself to the heat over and over again until when it became so hot and it was beyond repair point. And so the same thing also happens to human beings. And when we start getting into those warning signs or the low moments of life, we don't even get to understand we're going through it. But one of the things you can say is, again, getting to see, or rather to be so self-aware of yourself that you can be able to name the emotions that you're feeling, and say, at this point I'm feeling so sad, at this point I'm feeling so fearful. Name it as it is, without fear and without trying to exaggerate anything. If it is really that bad and what you're feeling, I feel like I want to hit someone, just name it as it is, so that then you can be able to take care of it. Because until you're able to capture it, like touch it with your own hands, put it in a space that you can be able to look at it and say, now this is sadness that I'm dealing with, then until that happens, you cannot be able to take care of it. So because of the way it comes. And so it is always important, like I said, among many other things, that is that loss of, the vibe and the flavor of life is something that every one of us try to look out for. Like I always like giving examples to just throw the thing home. Like for example, like for me, I love watching these comedies, like the Churchill comedians, Mamito, Paite, MC Desi, those guys, they really make me laugh. Even I'm not anyone, I'm just watching them, their jokes. I laugh a lot by myself. Now, if for any reason I go watch that on YouTube, or I find them somewhere they're acting and doing this thing, and there's no desire even to feel like laughing, I don't enjoy their jokes anymore. If these are the things I'm
It's a
always looking
sign.
for, then at
Yeah.
that point I should notice that there's something that is off about
Mm,
me. Because
mm,
the
mm,
first doctor to this all mental wellness and taking care of your own mental whatever, it's yourself. No one else
mm,
can hold your hand. You need to be able to own it and take responsibility for your own mental wellness, for you
mm,
to
mm.
take care of it more than even the therapists and other people like ourselves can help you. Yeah.
I love that. I love that point. So, again, the theme that's cutting across this is this idea of self awareness. And it's about self awareness in the moment, but it's also about self awareness by self reflection, where you are connecting with yourself, you are reflecting on how you are doing so that you can just ensure that you are in a good space. And so this requires being intentional about your check-in moments. One of the things I try and do at the end of each day is to do a self-check, where I just check in with myself to determine how the day has been and how I've responded to the day. I journal my prayers. I like to pray through writing, and part of my journaling is that check-in. And what it does is, as I'm reflecting at the end of the week, I'm able to pick up on trends that are existing, trends that may be on a downward motion. So I'm able to see that, hey, okay, I've written that I was irritable. I've written that I was irritable. I've written that I was irritable. Clearly, there's something going on, because it's okay to have a bad day. But when it becomes a week, a bad fortnight, then that is something that we need to pay attention to. And so, as I'm doing my check-in, what I typically do is I do a three emotions that I felt during that day, or the three overriding emotions, and I use that as an opportunity to surface what's going on beneath beneath the underneath from within. So I think that's a really, really great point that you've mentioned there, Mercy. Welcome back, James. We had lost you for a minute. So, continuing with our conversation, Emmanuel, I want to bring you in here as we continue thinking about this idea of developing this robust mental health vision and vision boarding, articulating what this looks like, setting ourselves goals for what this looks like. If someone was to prototype their mental health vision for quarter 1, what's one small experiment you'd encourage them to try rather than committing to a full year plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So before you do a full year gym membership and then drop off at the end of January or in the middle of January, why not even just take a week, go to the gym? So I encourage people just do a week of going to the gym. Someone has talked about driving, takes long drives, walk on grass barefoot, um, spend time with loved ones, have phone calls, and then just for a week. The beauty about a week is that, like you said, Mucha, if you at the end of every day just ask yourself, okay, I took a walk, I took a drive, how am I feeling? I
Mm,
think a week will give you sufficient time to see whether or not it's working for you. And if you're able to just take note of how do you feel as you go to bed, as you wake up, after that, either morning exercise or evening exercise, you'll begin to see a trend at least a week. So prototype test whatever you're trying out for at least a week, not a day, and not for a year. Don't sign
Mm.
up. Don't do a gym membership for a year, please.
I like that. I like that. And then extend yourself grace, I think. I think one of the beauties of experimentation is that we then extend ourselves grace, right? Where, to Mercy's earlier point, if you try out the 5 a.m. thing and it's not your thing, it's okay. You extend yourself grace and recognize that this is not my thing. Let me figure out what my thing is. I've done the prototyping. To your earlier point, Emmanuel, I realize that 5 doesn't work for me. Maybe let me shift to 6. Let me see if that works. Maybe let me shift to 7. Let me see if that works. And extend ourselves grace as we explore who we are, what our rhythms are, and what works for us. I think this is really important. Mercy, I want to come to you on this idea of our practical application. I want to come to you on this. From your work with clients, what is one early warning sign that people tend to ignore when their mental health needs attention? Earlier, I talked about this idea that our emotions are like the um, fuel light that comes on in the car, right? That tells you, hey, time for you to refuel. So, what is one warning sign that people tend to ignore when their mental health needs attention?
I think I mentioned one of them, which is the very major one, that loss of vibe for life. It is the one thing that many a times we've seen most people who even are getting into depression and even suicidal thoughts. It's actually one of the key things. Just getting to feel: are you in line? Are you flowing? Is your life flowing the normal way? Are you feeling like um
Mm,
things are going right for you? I always go back to self-awareness because I know it comes, you can tell from within.
yeah.
You can tell from within before even people recognize from outside. People start saying, Mercy, I've been looking at you and it's like something is not okay with you. Before even people say
Mm,
that, you already
mm,
knew it. It's only that many a times we're in total denial. We do not want to
mm,
believe that this is what is happening. Or at times we just give ourselves, this because of ego, because of pride. We don't want to accept that things are not okay. And so that's why we
mm,
always encourage: listen to yourself. What is not flowing the normal way things flow within you? Once you start
mm,
noticing that, then take a step back and say, okay, something is not okay. What is it? So
mm.
that's what takes us to what you just talked about, Mucha, about
Yeah,
self-reflection, because you can be
yeah.
able to now start looking back and seeing what exactly is this that is always taking me aback? What is making me feel the way I'm
Mm,
feeling? And like I said, one of the key things is to be able to name emotions. What exactly
mm,
am I feeling at this point? When Mucha looks at me, she just makes me feel so mad. I just hate her with all my heart. I just don't want
yeah,
to see her ever in my life. That's the
yeah,
way you should be
yeah,
talking to
yeah,
yourself. There is a very
yeah.
big, at times some people feel like if you start talking like this, you're degrading yourself or you're going down and all. That's not
Mm,
the case. You're actually allowing your brain to start now bringing the issue that is within you into the surface. Because you see, there is a way we say the brain is divided into three parts. There is the conscious part, there is the subconscious, and the unconscious. Yeah, that's the way
mm,
we see it. And so many of the things that are eating us up, they are in the conscious or the unconscious part of our minds, of our brains. So
mm,
bringing them to the front is very key. So when you say, I really hate Mucha with all my heart, I just do not want to see it. When I see, I feel like I want to throw up. Talk to yourself
mm,
like that. Now, you see, the moment you start
mm,
talking about it like that, it brings something into your conscious mind and you start now being able to catch exactly what I'm feeling. So right now, I'm feeling so much hatred. So hatred is within you. Now you can be able now to work around why the hatred. Why is it that I hate
yeah.
Mucha? Then I realized because she dresses
Mm,
better than me. So it's could be it's not just about that dress. It's your dress that is making me hate you so bad. Then I really, you just go
yeah,
back and then the reason is
yeah.
because I don't have, why am I hating that the way she dresses? It's because
Mm,
I don't have money to buy that dress. So the
mm,
problem is finances. But you say it was coming to hating you so hard. So when
mm.
you start now, it's like what you call like um the way when you're removing the onion one thing at a time.
Yes, peeling.
You know,
Yeah, peeling the
you're
layers.
peeling off.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. You're peeling off the onion. So you're peeling off your emotions so that you can start be able to catch what exactly is it that is being an issue for me. When you get to that
Mm,
stage, then we can say, even though when you start realizing things are not okay, take yourself through that route of self-reflection and peeling the
yeah.
onion. peeling the onion until you get to what is the issue here. Is it money that made me all the way to hating this sweet girl for
Mm,
nothing? Yeah, something of that
mm.
nature. Yeah.
I love it. Oh, I'm loving this conversation that we are having, and I can see that our audience are enjoying the conversation too. Let me go to some of the shout outs that we are receiving from those on LinkedIn. Mike Mwangi says, great conversation and practical insights from the panel. Thank you for joining us, Mike. Steffi Katsa, Steffi is a regular. I totally agree with James. Steffi was talking about leave. James, you talked about the fact that we need to take our rest seriously. Steffi says, I've heard some people say they take leave so they can work undisrupted, which means you are not really on leave, right? James Tiriongo says the things that work for him, long drive, playing golf works for him. I'm smiling as I look at that because Mercy says she goes to the golf course not to play, but to look at the greenery, and that's what energizes her. Beryl Amayo joining from Nairobi, Kenya. Glad to be part of the conversation. Thank you for being with us. Beryl, Catherine Dungu from Nairobi. John Paul is joining from Kampala. And, is John talks about the idea that, for him, self-awareness, he recognizes that this is critical too. And there are many people and families and even young people who need this most, because you can become a victim of being almost so attached to your goals that it affects your mental health, right? And so, John Paul talks about the idea for him that, reading the Bible, I think prayer has helped him to make sure that he has the right focus. And he says, I thank you, Mucha, for this 51st episode of 2026. God bless you and the team. Mercy Gitinji is listening from Nakuru. Thank you very much. Mercy. Catherine also comments about liking this idea of knowing yourself. And James just highlights that he's listening from Nairobi. So good to have you here. Beryl has a question for us. I'm going to come to your question shortly, Beryl. Let's just look at a few more. Steffi talks about the fact that she started journaling digitally, basically just putting down what's on her mind. And it's often so interesting to go back and read these thoughts. I've found that I really see my growth. So times when I'm feeling frustrated with myself, when I go back to my journaling, it helps me to see that I've grown as I reflect on my thoughts from before. Steffi is happy that she made it for the first EQ Lunch and Learn for 2026. Indeed, Steph, we're great. We're happy to have you. Biko Ezekiel, understanding of myself is the core element to help me mentally in achieving my goals and objectives. Biko is joining from Nairobi, is loving the conversation and says kudos to the panelists. So thank you very much to everyone who's joined us. If you've not said hello, say hello so we can say hello right back. We love engaging with our panelists. I want to come to a question that's here from Beryl. What are the coping mechanisms that you would recommend for those in constant high pressure environments? They are aware of their environment. Are there cheat codes that they can use to remain sane? So I know we spoke about this briefly earlier. I think James had asked you a question around, you know, people who are in high stress environments like finance. But let's come back to this again. I'd love to engage all of you to share on this question. What are the coping mechanisms that you would recommend for those in constant high pressure environments? They are aware of their environment. Are there cheat codes that they can use to remain sane? Mercy, can we start with you as you answer this, and then anyone else who wants to chime in? I have also some thoughts on the same, but let's come to you first, Mercy. Maybe there's some ideas you can share in response to this question.
Okay, I'll give one so that I give the others also a chance to say what they have in mind. So
Sounds
I'll
good.
take one of them. Thank you. So one of the things that we especially in the workplace where there is a lot of high pressure to perform and there are targets, there is the performance metrics and everything. And maybe we've been told by our directors that we need to make so much money. Like you said, a lot of times vision is about, especially in the workplace, a lot of it is around numbers. And so one of the ways that I normally say that you can be able to allow yourself to go into a space of being able to perform without too much pressure is breaking down the big vision. So let's say,
Mm,
for example, you've been given, like by the end of this year, you should have brought in 120 million in terms of revenue. So that
mm,
is too much. Where do I start in this Kenya that is so dry like this? Where do you start getting 120 million? So you see,
mm,
20 million registers with how many zeros? Is it six
mm.
zeros? So it becomes so difficult
Yes.
to see. It's such a big thing. But the thing is,
Yeah.
how about now you start saying this 120 million is for 1 year? So which means
Mm,
it is in 12 months. So per month, I need to be able to do 10 million. Now, 10 million is more digestible than 120 million. Then come back not weekly. So divide by 4. I should be making about 2.5. I should be
mm,
getting at least 2.5 million per week, and
mm,
then bring it even to per day. So 2.5
mm,
divided by how many hours you work in a day? Is it 8? Is it 6? I don't know whatever numbers. You realize now it's gone even to thousands. So thousands are easier to digest than millions and millions. So in other words, what you're saying, whatever it is that is pressurizing you, can you break it down into steps of getting there? How can I be able to
mm.
achieve this? So once you get now the
Yeah.
smaller piece of the bigger picture, now start
Yeah.
picking from you based on how you like working. Do you want to start with the big ones? I mean, the most difficult or the least? So you see now you've got a list of many things, maybe 20 things or 10 things that you must do. Then maybe even I always advise start with the simpler ones. It gives your brain
Mm.
also energy, and it
Yeah.
keeps the
Yeah.
brain that something happening.
Yeah.
So pick the smaller ones, those easier things you pick. So you realize out of the 20, you've actually picked 12. You're left with, so
Mm.
those things are already an encouragement. So you reduce
Mm.
pressure by just breaking down in smaller bits of what you want to achieve. So that's one of
I
them.
love it. I 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 think that's such a powerful reflection. This idea of breaking it down. There's that saying that how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So look at the things that are bringing you pressure, the goals that have been set before you, and break it down. And one of the things I've learned is that when we break down our goals or the things we need to achieve into tangible activities or tasks, it relieves the pressure on the brain because you can see those tangible activities and tasks that you are completing. Emmanuel, any reflections on the same? And then we'll come to you, James, as we answer
Yes,
this question.
pattern interruption. So I'm seated
Love
at
it.
a desk. The pressure is building up. If I continue remaining at that desk, it will get to an extreme point and could even result in me saying doing something that is counterproductive. So please interrupt the pattern. If you're in a meeting, it's getting a bit heated. Um let's have a 5 minute break. And during that 5 minute break, stand up, walk out of the room, maybe a walk around the building and come back. Just that 5 minute break might reduce that pressure from 100 to 50. So pattern interruption. Another thing that also works very well, at least it has worked for me, is that if I have a high pressure job or activity, or I'm engaged in something very urgent, especially like maybe there's a report that's due at a specific time. Uh, Part of what I try to do is do something either at the end of the day, or if it's going to be something that is going to take a number of days, do something at the end of the day that really gets you tired, so that when you go to sleep or when you go to rest, you actually rest. I say that because sometimes you go to sleep, but you don't sleep. I have once been in a space where my wife would complain that even when I go to bed, it's like I'm still fighting whatever was bothering me through the night. So then my rest is not rest. It's like I am in bed, but my mind is still resting. And so find something that tires you, something that's different. And if for me, what also works is that if I'm walking or working out, but especially walking, if I have music playing, um, depending on the music, my mind will go to what I'm listening to, and that will take my mind off whatever is bringing me that pressure. And so, for me, those are some of the cheat codes that I use to remain sane. James, would you like to pick up? I think Mucha has dropped off. Mucha, James, do you have any cheat codes for people in the finance sector who are under pressure, especially when the taxes are due? My accountant always seems to send at 12 midnight. So how do you handle that season of returns? What do you do? Because I personally, I always wonder, why do they send at night? James, any thoughts on this one? You're on mute. I think you're on mute, James. Please unmute yourself. You're still on mute, James. We can't hear you. We can't hear you, James. So, James, we can't hear you. Any other thoughts? But I think the key thing is one. Find a way to interrupt that pattern. If you're seated with people, the conversation is getting heated, then what you want to then do is just say, okay, let's take a 5-minute break, or let's do something else. Let's stand up, let's take a walk and come back to it. If you all remember many years ago, when we were having the disputed elections and Kofi Annan was mediating between the different parties, I think you remember his famous walk around Serena. I think that was a good example of a pattern interrupt. And so one of the things that you always want to do is break the pattern. If you can get alternative things that distract your mind off the pressure, sometimes playing with children, you can't take your stress to children, but get something that gets you off. Yeah, thank you. Mucha, you're back.
I'm back. Technology can be a real bummer. Just confirming that you can hear me clearly once again. All right, fantastic.
Yes, you can.
So we're talking about, the idea of coping mechanisms, right? What can you do to cope? So James, let's hear your thoughts around this idea of coping mechanisms in high pressure environments. Yes, over to you,
Are you
James.
able to hear me? Are you able to
Yes,
hear me?
yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Emmanuel, sorry, I lost you. You hear me, but uh, my thought would be not pretty much position to as a finance or an accounting tax person. What I normally do is what I call intentional downtime. That is a strategy I normally apply. And what do I mean by this? I mean, when myself in a high pressure sort of environment, I mean, I would sort of like stand up, take a walk, and then maybe that 1 minute, 2 minute walk, or just walk around the room and then compose myself. And now I'm able to. And why do I put intentional downtime? Because while at least I'm in that downtown sort of mode, it's not that I'm not thinking about what is pressurizing me or the result that I need to be to give. It's more of like a discovery sort of mode set. If I would use it, like if we have a button to press, the downtime time for me is a button to make some self discovery, and it can also be sort of something reflect so that I can improve judgment, focus, and then sort of emotional regulation. And after that 1 minute, 2 minutes sort of downtime, I'm able to now think clearly. Because you realize high pressure, like sort of environment, we are sort of bombarded by different views or different actions from different people. So taking that downtime is sort of like you pull him into your own cocoon to reflect and get to know how best would I answer person A, how best would I answer person B, person C. So for me, it's more like it helped me to sustain myself in the high performance sort of high performance stress levels.
Yeah,
So
love it.
I always encourage people to have that the downtime
I love it.
strategy. Like take time, breathe in, breathe out, take a walk. I mean, walk along
Mm,
the corridors, come back.
yeah,
You find yourself composed and able to now maintain or rather sustain the
navigate.
pressure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you very much. I think one of the things I would add, and it goes very much with the idea of the downtime that James you are mentioning, is about being intentional about decompressing, right? And so what I mean by that is if you are if you find yourself working in a high pressure environment, imagine that you are a pressure cooker, right? And so what you need to do is you need to find ways of removing the lid on the pressure cooker. If you have used a pressure cooker, and I realize there may be some who have no clue what I'm talking about, but a pressure cooker is a special kind of pot where the pressure is contained. And the idea is because the pressure is contained, the food in the pressure cooker cooks quicker as a result of that increased pressure. When you are about to open a pressure cooker, you need to remove the lid or remove the cap at the top to release the pressure first before you can open the lid. And so my point is, where you find yourself in a high pressure environment, you need to intentionally lift that lid, lift that cap off and relieve some pressure. Find things that help you to relieve pressure and then make them standard, make them your regular. So for those of you who can run and running relieves pressure, make it a habit that every weekend you go for your run, anticipating the fact that pressure is going to build up through the course of the week. Have an outlet for that pressure. Some may say, for me, it's my family that relieves my pressure. Then jealously guard your Saturday or your Sunday with your family. Make sure nothing interferes with that, because that is the way you are going to relieve the pressure in anticipation of the pressure that will build again in the following Monday through to Friday. So I would say be intentional about building in a way to open that tap so that pressure can be relieved. Because if you don't, what's happening is every week pressure is building and building and building without any release, and ultimately that will result in an explosion, or it will result in challenges with your mental health, or even with your physical health, because at the end of the day, our mental and physical health are closely intertwined. So be intentional about the way you relieve pressure. And this goes back to our earlier conversation about developing greater self-awareness. What is it for you that helps to release pressure? What is it for you that will equip you to go into the week ahead, knowing and bracing yourself for the pressure that's coming, knowing that you've been able to relieve it somewhat? So that is what I would add to everything that has been shared. The truth of the matter is that in order for us to navigate the year ahead and to achieve those big, hairy, audacious goals, you've heard it from my panel, we need to be intentional about supporting our mental well-being. We need to recognize that our mental health will either enable our ability to achieve our goals or undermine our ability to achieve our goals, and to look after it accordingly. As always, the time flies by so quickly. I find that our time is almost over. Just coming to the comments again to check and see if there's anyone I missed out. Wycliffe, it's great to see you. He says, watching from Antwerp, loving the conversation. Thank you very much, Wycliffe. It's good to have you here. Wycliffe has been in the hot seat a number of times, so it's good to have you in the audience. If you have any other questions, please do share them as we begin winding up our conversation. Let me come back to you, my panel, as we continue to really bring our thoughts together. And as we do, I want to ask my audience, what is your biggest takeaway from today's session? So as I come to my panel, as they begin to start sharing their parting shots, what is your biggest takeaway from the conversation that we have had today? Please share in the comments what your biggest takeaway has been as we reflect on the conversation that we have had. So I've got the question here. What is your biggest takeaway from our conversation today? As I come to you, my panelists, I want to ask, as you really start bringing together everything that we have discussed today, if our audience was to place just one word or one image or one intention on their mental health vision board for 2026, what would you suggest and why? If our audience was to place just one word, image, or intention on their mental health vision board for 2026, what would you suggest and why? So I want to come to each of you to share that final answer as we begin wrapping up our conversation. Emmanuel, let me come to you first for your response.
Uh, Something that I think would be very important. Take joy in the journey. Now, my wife is called Joy, and people might think I am, but you only live once. So enjoy
Mm,
life,
mm,
the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just have that
mm,
mindset of every day I can do things, I can change things, I can survive. So I think just take joy in the journey. The mental health is not a destination. So do
mm.
not make it something that is a moving target. So enjoy today, live today, and you'll just find the years go by. Thank you.
I love that. Take joy on the journey. I think this is critical. And I like what you said, this idea that, at the end of the day, life is going to have its ups and downs. And so we need to take joy on the journey as we navigate. James, your reflections as you think about maybe the one word, the one intention that people can take with them as we begin winding up this conversation. I'm keeping my eye out on any questions. You still have a few minutes to share any questions that you may have. Over to you, James.
Thank you, Mucha. That question has really thrown me into deep thinking. So basically, if I had to choose one word for my mental health vision, that would be balance. And why am I
Mm,
choosing balance? I'm looking at picture balance in a scale scenario where on
mm-hmm,
one side it's work, well-being, and on the other side is reminding me to stay resilient and
mm,
effective without tipping too far on either direction. One side is work, and on the other side is reminding myself that I need to stay focused, I need to be resilient and effective without tipping it too far on either direction. I don't have to lean so much on work. I don't have to lean so much on being focused and resilient. So I would
mm.
go with balance.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mercy, could you share yours? I know that Mercy has another meeting that she has to get to. So Mercy, your words. Thank you very much. Or intention or thoughts. Mercy, I think you might be muted. Just bear with me a moment. It looks like, yeah. Please go ahead, Mercy.
Okay, so you can hear me now?
Yes, yes, loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay, so for me, the word that I think that I love to say many, many times is the word peaceful, being peaceful.
Mm,
For me, I
mm,
believe being at peace is actually not just a word; it is actually a life skill. And to be peaceful doesn't mean many times being peace is about being quiet, being slow, and all that. But
mm,
that's not the thing. It's about the inner world not being constantly at war with itself or with the outer things that are happening out there. So having a peaceful mind
mm,
is where you don't feel rushed. There is no urgency. It doesn't have to. You're able to calm your nervous system when things are not okay. When you're under stress, you're able
mm,
to sit in uncertain times and without falling apart, and you can be able to compose yourself. I believe if you can be able to do that, then you've been able to regulate yourself, and everything else that happens, you can be able to achieve because you are not under pressure to overperform for anyone. So the word peaceful is for me.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
What a powerful parting shot there from Mercy. I know that she may need to exit as she transitions to another program. I think that we have heard some really amazing insights from today. What is your biggest takeaway from our session today? I would love to hear from you as you share your biggest takeaway. And then I've got another question for you on a scale of 1 to 5. How valuable was the content today for you? Please, wherever you are joining us from, just go to the comments and type a number between 1 and 5, where 5 is very valuable, right? So just type a number in the comments. How valuable has this conversation been for you today? We'd love to hear from you. as you have been listening in as we begin this year with a intentional focus on our mental health so that we can achieve what we are trying to achieve as individuals, as we are chasing after our big, hairy, audacious goals. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, how valuable was the content for you? I don't see any comments around biggest takeaways. Okay, I see something from Biko. Biko says, don't end it just yet. I could listen to this all day. Huge thanks for such an insightful session. I'm walking away feeling more informed, empowered, and better equipped to handle my mental health. Biko, you are so welcome. Please make sure you diarize the last Wednesday of every month. We are going to be walking this journey with you throughout the course of the year with a focus on strengthening our emotional intelligence so that we can be more effective as individuals in our workspaces, in our lives, as we chase after our big, hairy, audacious goals. Next month, as we celebrate Valentine's Day, we're going to be talking about developing greater self-love, as we always do, and how this supports our mental well-being. So please do make sure that you diarize the last Wednesday of every month. We are always here. Take a moment to share with us on a scale of 1 to 5 how valuable was the content for you. I want to come to Emmanuel and James and ask them to share their parting shot as we wind up. Unfortunately, Biko, the truth of the matter is our time is up, and I'm always amazed at how quickly it goes. James, your parting shot before I let you go. What would you like to say to our audience?
So my parting shot would be we need to take serious our mental health status, especially in work scenarios. That would really increase activity and will enable us be more creative and just be ourselves. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, James. And I can say a goodbye. Thank you very much for being here today. I'm seeing comments coming through that indeed it is a 5 in terms of how valuable it has been. So thank you, James, for being a panelist today. And we look forward to having you join us again another time. Thank you very much for your time. Emmanuel, as we wind up with you, your parting shot for today as we wrap up.
Take care of your spirit and your heart because it is what gives you the energy to do everything else. You burn your spirit and your heart, then everything else burns. Thank you.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much for that insight. Take care of your spirit. Look inside just with as much energy and effort as we do outside. Thank you very much for your time, Emmanuel. It has been a delight to have you on here, and we look forward to having you once again. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, there you have it. As always, I believe that we have dropped quite a bit of learning for you today. I trust that you have benefited from the conversations had here. I see some feedback. Beryl says a 5, Steffi says a 5. Mike says a 4.8 and Biko says a 5.1. Thank you very much for your feedback. If you haven't yet, please just take a moment, drop a number in the comments so that we can see whether this session has been beneficial for you. Feel free to also tell us if there's any specific topics around emotional intelligence and emotional and mental well-being that you would like us to include as part of these conversations. Feel free to add that in the comments as well. We love to hear from you so that we can make sure that these sessions are beneficial. As I've mentioned before, diarize the last Wednesday of every month. We are always here and having such conversations. And next month, we are going to be talking about how you can show up more for yourself at work. As we close today's session, it's clear that mental health isn't a one-time goal. My key takeaways from our session: number 1, self-awareness is at the heart of your mental health journey. Invest in knowing yourself and what energizes you. Number 2, take peace, balance, and joy for the journey. And number 3, make sure you are intentional about building in moments of energy, moments of restoring your energy in your week, and be intentional about them. The truth is, our mental health is an ongoing practice that is shaped by conscious choices, reflection, and intention. The invitation is simple. Let your mental health vision board serve as a guide, helping you to make decisions that align with how you want to feel, protecting your well being, and creating space for flexibility and growth throughout the year. Remember, even small intentional actions taken consistently can have a profound impact on your resilience, clarity, and balance. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to share in the comments what topic you would love us to have in future sessions. We would love to hear from you as you engage with us. But bye for now. Until next month, thank you for your engagement with us. It has been a delight to host you. My name is Mucha Mlingo from PTS Africa, and we love to have these conversations in our monthly EQ Lunch and Learn. See you next month. Goodbye for now.